All right, guys, good morning. It is Monday, 8:26 a.m. We are ready to attack the week, guys. First week back. Now, today we're going to get some miles in the Saucony Triumph 22. And on top of the box here, we have the Saucony Triumph 20, which is one of my highest mileage running shoes of all time. This shoe has a special place in my heart, not only because we have 350 miles on it, but this was also a Christmas present 2 years ago. Christmas 2022. Charlie got this for me as a Christmas present. So I love this shoe. I put a ton of miles on it. I used to be a huge Saucony fanboy, by the way. 2 pairs of Speed 3s, 300 miles. Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, 300 miles. Pro 3, 300 miles. And last year I gravitated a little bit more toward New Balance. Had some New Balance come into the rotation. This year, man, you guys have heard me talk about the Skyward X a lot. I think Hoka might be taking the top spot for me. But Triumph 20 is one of the best marathon training shoes of the past few years. As you guys have heard me said, man, I vote with my miles, and putting 350 miles on a shoe and have it still going strong is a huge testament to being a great shoe. So we got big stack, nice and comfortable, nice and cushioned, and I am eager to see what they're doing with the Triumph 22 because we got some big changes coming. So with that, guys, let us dive into it. Triumph 22, baby. Watch this. All right. One more time. Watch this. One more time. Oh, is that poison ivy? Leaves of 3, let them be. Do I have poison ivy on my front? All right, hold on. One more time. Bang! Okay, so the reason why I brought out these shoes here is the Triumph 22 is a little bit of a shoe straddling the line. So it's priced at $160, like these shoes on the bottom here, but it's offering a little bit more of an elevated foam experience like the shoes on the top. So all these shoes at the bottom here are around the same price. Ghost Max is $150. I guess we're going right to left. Shout out Shanghai. Middle one is Asics Gel Nimbus 25 or 26. The MSRP is $160. You can actually find the 25 for $120. And then over here we have the New Balance 1080 V13, which is $165. So these are the traditional or standard max cushion shoes. They used to be called premium daily trainers, priced at this $160 mark, but they offer a lot of cushion, a lot of protection. This is my favorite one for running. It's really soft, super comfortable. It doesn't have a ton of bounce to it, but really nice for some smooth, steady recovery or everyday miles. Gel Nimbus is another good one. It's a little bit softer. And then Ghost Max, it's a good option for a protective daily trainer for bigger runners. It's got some stability, or for a walking shoe. I love using this as a walking shoe. I actually did a little hike yesterday with the family at the Stevens Creek Nature Center, and I was walking in this. So let's cut to that right now, baby. All right, we're back. You guys like that asynchronous vibe right there? So the Triumph 20 here, and the reason why I have the 20 and not the 21 is because I am adamant, I firmly believe in not buying upper updates. Do not buy upper updates, please, guys. Unless it's a shoe like the Boston 13, maybe they'll do an upper update there and it will fix some of the issues that you guys have with it. But in the case of the Triumph 20 and 21, the 21 was such a minor difference, and they were selling that shoe for $60 more expensive because they cut the price of the 20 to about $90 or $100 in some places. So Triumph 20 was priced at $160 MSRP, same thing as the 21, and it competes with all these guys here. The 20 is a little bit bouncier. You still get the protection. It's not as stable. The heel feels a tiny bit wobblier because it's a little bit narrow out here, and that is one of the things we've seen in the market across every category of shoes, even racing shoes. The bases are getting wider to offer some more stability. So that's one thing I'm really curious to see in the Triumph 22. Are we going to get a little bit of a wider base? And now, these shoes on the top, these are above $160. So New Balance SC Trainer V2 on the left here, Hoka Skyward X in the middle, and Asics Superblast on the right. So the SC Trainer is $180, Skyward X is $220 or $225 actually, and the Superblast is $200. All of these shoes use a little bit more tech in the midsole. So whereas the traditional category of max cushion shoes, they just have straight midsole, bro. Except for the Gel Nimbus, you got the gel. And the SC Trainer V2, you got a little bit more of a racing foam here with this fuel cell. plus the carbon fiber plate. Same thing in the Hoka. You get the full carbon fiber plate. Bang, look at that. Where's Waldo, bro? Plus you get the racing foam on the top layer, plus the supercritical TPU. And then the Super Blast tier, you have the full layer of FF Turbo, plus a tiny little bit of the FF Blast Plus. By the way, guys, I had a viewer email me. Actually, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this story. So these shoes on the top are really designed to offer a little bit more speed assistance, a little bit more bounce, a little bit more fun. You pay more for them, but they're more versatile, more fun, not necessarily more durable, actually, especially in the case of something like the SC Trainer V2. There's been mixed reports of durability. Super Blast has been very durable, whereas these guys down here are a little bit more oriented towards just comfort, not necessarily speed. So with the Triumph 22, baby, we're going to have to see which category is it going for. Is it going to be a little bit of a budget Super Blast, or there's some rustling over there. I don't like that. Or is it going to be a Gel Nimbus with a little bit more pop? So with that, let us open up this guy and see. Bang! So guys, this is the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. I do not have the Triumph 22 yet. It is coming in later today. And in the words of Aubrey Graham, also known as Drake, I'm upset. And the reason I'm upset is I paid overnight shipping to get it here. Because it released a little bit early on Thursday, and I paid overnight shipping to get it here. And then, this is a life lesson, guys. FedEx Air does not deliver on the weekend. So I ordered it on Thursday. I paid for the next day shipping, and it's not going to be here till today, unfortunately. And I also, look at this, guys. I called every single store.
This is John. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling to see if you have the Triumph 22 yet.
We do not.
This is Natalie speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, Natalie. I was calling to see if you had the Triumph 22 in stock.
No, we have not gotten that one yet.
Probably be getting it in like tomorrow or the next day. But if you don't have it yet,
Yeah.
then yeah.
We haven't gotten anything in all week.
Oh man, okay.
How may I help you?
Hi, I was calling to see if you had the Triumph 22 in stock.
Alright, I have a 10 and a half.
In the 22?
In the 22.
Awesome.
No.
Oh.
The 22s have not been dropped yet.
Okay, you didn't get the 22s yet?
We've not gotten them, okay?
Alright, I appreciate it.
Alright, bye-bye.
Bye.
Please stay on the line while your call is transferred to the operator.
Thank you for calling REI 5.
Hi, I'm calling to see if you had a running shoe in stock. The Saucony Triumph 22. So not the 21, the 22.
We only got 21s in store, boss.
Alright, so no one has it, but I have it queued up here from a secret website. And we're just going to slam that FedEx next day air for $22 because I'm a real sicko and I need to get this shoe. So, you want to be a boss? You got to pay the price. Bang! Let's go. Let's go. So, the reason I brought this guy out here actually, because we're going to get some miles in the Triumph 22 later today. Don't you worry, that's going to be later in this video. But I wanted to talk about the foam that's in the Triumph 22 because that's the biggest upgrade, and it is going to be also called PWRRUN PB, which is the foam that's in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 here, which is the racing shoe. However, there was an interview with the product manager for the Triumph 22, and they said it's tuned differently. And this is the story I was going to tell you guys, right? I have a viewer here on the channel. He emailed me. He said he owns a website. I don't know if he wants me to share it, so I'm not going to share it. But he owns a website where you can join class action lawsuits for companies that have been deceptive. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do a class action lawsuit against Saucony for the deceptive practices with PWRRUN PB or against ASICS for their deceptive practices with FF Blast Plus, putting different foam formulations in. But I am saying it is a little bit confusing to have something called PWRRUN PB in the racing shoe, name it the same thing in the Triumph, and have it be different. Now, I did see when I was doing my search high and low, online and in-store, calling everybody for the Triumph 22, I did see that it was called a firmer foam in one review. Now, the Triumph 20 here was not necessarily a firmer foam. This thing was really right in the middle. Definitely not as soft as the 1080 or the Gel Nimbus, but it had this bounce to it. So I am curious with the 22, which we'll get in here in a few minutes for you guys. Don't you worry how it's going to stack up to both the Triumph 20, because it has a really big reputation, and to what we're expecting out of that PWRRUN PB foam. So with that, guys, I am actually going to get some miles this morning in the Triumph 20, because we're going to do a comparison, Triumph 20 versus Triumph 22. This is one of the best marathon training shoes of the past few years. And then when the 22 gets in, we're going to rip that open ASAP. It's coming in sometime today. And of course, we'll get our first run in that. So let's get to it, guys. All right, guys, so plan for this run is a smooth 30 minutes, a little recovery action. We had the long run yesterday, so today, all about getting in some nice, relaxed miles. So I wanted to see, actually, how peppy this Triumph 20 midsole still is with 350 miles on it. And it'll be nice to, when we do get that 22 in later today, then have those insights fresh in my head to compare with the 22. But this is going to be a nice short little run, and then we'll get in some more miles later whenever we have some downtime off work or after work. And that's why I wanted to do this little overview of the market first, because we got to work. I can't be just out here yapping, bro. I got to be in there slacking, bro. Well, not slacking off, hitting those Slack messages. All right. Nice little 4-mile, 30-minute recovery run. Let's get it. Alright guys, we got to do a little retie here. So I know I was bashing upper updates, and I still firmly believe that you should not buy an upper update. Just get the same midsole technology with the lower price. But the thing is, the reason they updated the upper in the 21 versus the 20 is because the fit of the heel area was a little weird, and so if you don't crank down the laces super tight, you can get a little bit of slipping and sliding. So we'll see what they did with the 22. If the fit is a little smoother. This definitely does not fit like a glove. But the fit is pretty good when you tie it correctly. Same thing as the Invincible 3. So with that, guys, let's hit these miles for real. All right, guys, boom. 4-mile recovery run, average 7:31 pace. So we were right on target, 31 minutes, 15 seconds. And man, these things are still going. Like I said, these are still a solid shoe. I picked it up a little bit down to about 7:10 on that last mile, and they're still energetic. They got a nice bounce to them and really felt great at every pace. They are, I do have to say, they are a touch, I don't know if it's firmer, but a little awkward at slower paces. And it is a super versatile shoe, but it's one of those shoes like the Nova Blast where for shorter and slower runs, it's not exactly ideal. It feels better the longer you put into it. This foam really is durable. As we can see, almost 400 miles on this guy, it's still going. So it feels better with time, and also with some pace down into the steady zone. I think I might prefer this to the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. So Triumph 22 has a lot to live up to. I'm hoping all they did is make it a little bit more stable, but man, this PWRRUN Plus that's in here, which by the way is a beaded TPU, that's a type of foam similar to that old school Adidas Boost. It's a great foam. They messed with it a little bit in the Ride 17, making it firmer, and wasn't so great, at least on the first run or double day I did in it. So we'll see what they do with the PWRRUN PB, the training version. And by the way, guys, one thing that I wanted to mention before the Triumph 22 comes in is if you take a look at the shoes in the front versus the back, These shoes in the front are just comfortable and simple. Yes, they have a lot of cushion, but simple. And that's really what a lot of runners are looking for. Just some nice cushion, a little bit of bounce, good support for walking, and not too weird of a ride. All these shoes in the back, SC Trainer V2, Skyward X, Super Blast, there's a little bit more going on, and they're a little bit more complicated. Not necessarily great for a runner who wants something for just a smooth 45-minute run. So Triumph 22, I'm hoping they kept a little bit of that simpler spirit of the 20 here, which still an awesome shoe. So I'm going to pop these Triumph 20 off. Last thing I want to mention is durability. That is something else that we're going to be looking at with the Triumph 22. That's going to be one of the shoes that we probably take to high mileage this year. But look at this guy. We got some wear on the outsole in the back. But other than that, I'll throw up the exact mileage that we have on this, or I'll look at it on my Strava and tell you guys later. But I think it's between 350 and 400 at this point, and this could go past 400, which for me, that's pretty impressive. I also have this shoe, the 1080 V13, at 300, and it still feels pretty good. So this is another durable, more cushioned shoe. So man, Triumph 22, it's got big shoes to fill, pun intended, or no pun intended. I don't know. My wish list is a little bit better upper, not too much different foam, maybe a little bit more bounce, but this is already really bouncy. And I think that's pretty much it, or stability. So if we can get stability, more bounce, more stability, more bounce, maybe a little bit more padding, slightly better upper. This upper is fine. This is the Run Shield version, by the way. It's waterproof. But if we can get those three things, that'll be a winner. I'm hoping they didn't deviate from the spirit too much, though. So there we go, guys. I got to get to work. I will see you later whenever this FedEx truck pulls up. Put in work. Work. Put in work. Oh boy, cool. What a pound it apart. So I'm like, when I'm gonna roll the ground ASAP. All right, guys. 11:09 a.m. I just got an email that it's out for delivery. Let's check. Okay, today between 10:43 a.m. and 12:43 p.m. So. Man, that means it's any time now. This thing could just pop up. So we gotta stay woke. We gotta stay vigilant out here. Because when this thing comes, we're gonna have to just, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're just gonna get it and run in it. I don't know why I was being so dramatic. I apologize. All right, guys, noon. It's the Zoom meeting gauntlet time. No box yet. I will see you on the other side of this.
Muffin on the track.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a super short project too. All right, guys, a little lunch break time. Let us go check this thing out. Hold on. I need to grab my knife. Bang. Man, I have not been this hyped for a shoe since that Hoka Cielo X1. Let's just, man, bang. So the real Triumph 22. We're not messing around anymore. No Endorphin Pro 4s in this box. And let's see. We have the white, black, and red Saucony box. Pretty standard. I do think Saucony can maybe update their packaging. It's looking a little bit dated, but what matters is the shoe that's inside. Bada boom, bada bing, Triumph 22. Look at this colorway. Now this is a fire colorway, and I gotta say, wow, wide. It is wide in my hand. Let's just do a comparison real quickly to, let's see, what's the widest shoe out here? Skyward X is a wide shoe. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if it's as wide as the Skyward X, but it is certainly a wide shoe. So they have widened it up. It looks like the heel is going to be a lot more stable. Yeah, definitely. The heel is going to be wider and the midfoot is wider than the Triumph 20 or 21 because the midsole is the same on those two. And that was actually one of the issues with the Triumph 20. I got a pair of these for Charlie after she got me a pair for Christmas, and the midfoot was too narrow on the shoe for her. So it looks like in the 22 they've changed that a little bit. And let's pop out this insert here. It does feel heavier. Let's go grab the scale. It feels significantly heavier. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. And look at that. Triumph 22 right there. The much anticipated little bounce test. Bang. Hold on. Scale time. All right, I'm really curious to see. So the Triumph 20, and this is the Run Shield version, it's probably a little bit heavier, 294 grams. Now let's see about the Triumph 22. This guy, 328 grams. I told you, man, in my hands it feels significantly heavier. That is one of the heaviest running shoes out there. Oh my gosh. That's as heavy as people are complaining about the weight of the Skyward X. That's the same weight as the Skyward X. It's only a 5 gram difference. So this better be giving us a ton more bounce. And so the additional weight is coming from a few things. First of all, the width of the shoe. It's not coming from the rubber because similar rubber coverage, but it's coming from the width of the shoe. I wonder but the foam should be lighter. It doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't feel like the lightest, softest foam. And like I was saying, it potentially is a little bit firmer. It feels like a dense, firm foam. So it's coming from there, but then also the upper is extremely padded. This might be the most padded upper, and up to this point, New Balance 1080 V13 was my favorite comfort-oriented shoe. The Triumph has gotten even more padding than we see in the 1080. On the tongue, there's more padding. On the back, there's more padding. It seems like even a little bit more structure in the back here. So wow, I'm surprised that it's this heavy. I didn't think it was going to be this heavy because that's supposed to be the benefit of getting the Saucony PWRRUN PB. But things that they kept, right? Lots of rubber coverage for that durability. On the outsole here, they've kept that tall protective stack up in here 40 millimeters, and they've kept a pretty similar geometry. So let's see here. This has never been a super rockered shoe, and again, it even looks like they might have even tamed out the geometry a little bit. No, it's pretty similar. So it's not going to be as rockered as something like the Skyward X here, which you can see in the front has a really aggressive curve. We got a little bit more of a conservative profile on the Triumph 22 here. And so, man, for comparison's sake here, I was saying, is this going to be like a budget Super Blast? It does not look or feel like a budget Super Blast. Super Blast comes in at 264 grams. Mind you, this is a size 11, which in ASICS really converts to a size 11 and a half probably. So this would be about 250 in the same size, or maybe 255 in the same length if we were to measure foot length of the Triumph 22. So about an 80 gram difference between these two. And these are both similar foams, right? They're supposed to be both racing foams, PWRRUN PB here, and then FF Turbo. But I've got to say, this is a heavy shoe. So I want to get this on foot to see how it does. It looks like it's going to be comfortable, which is nice. But before we do that, I do want to do the durometer test between this and the Triumph. And I'll go pull the Endorphin Pro 4 just so we can see how soft or firm they've made this foam. So hold on. All right, guys, so quick check here of the firmness of this foam. So the durometer goes from 0 to 100. It is not a perfectly precise tool because you can buy it on Amazon, but it gives us a good sense of how soft or firm a foam is. So in the back here, we are getting 40, which is right in the middle. Foams tend to go from 30 to 50. So 30 in the back, 36 in the front, and 40 again on the bottom. So let's see compared to the Endorphin Pro 4, zero it out. Honestly, pretty similar. We get 41.5, 37 in the front, and 34 on the bottom. So a little bit softer on the bottom. And just to the touch, let's see. You can see me pushing this foam into the touch versus this one. Yeah, the Triumph feels just a touch firmer. It also looks like the beads in the Triumph 22 might be a little bit smaller, and the beads in the Endorphin Pro 4 are a little bit bigger, but they are calling these both PWRRUN PB. You can see right there on the silver. So we got to see how it rides, and just for comparison's sake here again, the width, Triumph 22's got a little bit of a wider width. So let's get this on foot and see how it feels. Hold on, let's do the other shoe weigh-in, little QA test here. See how close these guys are. And man, this better be a comfortable shoe because 330 grams is a lot. All right, so that comes in at 328, and the other one, 328, 327.5. I think it was 328 before. So nice job. Exactly the same. And I should mention here too, look, we still get that 10 millimeter drop. Can you see that? 10 millimeter offset. And that was one of the issues that people had with this version of the shoe, the Triumph 20. It is a high drop 10 millimeters. It looks like a high drop shoe. It feels like a high drop shoe, and it doesn't work great for all foot strikes. Even as more of a heel striker, it doesn't always feel great to wear a 10 millimeter drop shoe. So we'll see how the Triumph 20 does with the additional weight and the same drop. Let's do it. So a first run review is just that. It's a review of how a shoe performs on the first run. I like to give you all the information on it. It's got the PEBA midsole. It's got a lot of padding in the upper. The weight has gone up a little bit. It's got the caboose, which, by the way, I was just on the gram on IG. I told you guys I don't like to go on IG too much, but I saw Doctors of Running. They were educating us. This is called the sole flare. I just like to call it a nice girthy base. But apparently, when the midsole bumps out past the top of the upper, and this is the thing, you got to educate yourself, bro. That's called the sole flare. I like to say it's got the girth, and then we got the caboose hanging out the back. But what I was saying is, first run review, I'm a little bit terrified with this first run of the Triumph 20 because one thing that haunts me with shoes more than anything else, it's when shoes have an identity crisis. So the way I like to look at these shoes is how do they perform against what they're trying to set out to do? How do they perform against their competitors, and where do they fit in the market at large? And with this shoe, given how heavy it is, the midsole, the upper, I'm not, for that first question, I am not sure what it's setting out to do. Is it looking to give ultimate comfort? Is it looking to be versatile? Is it looking to be that Super Blast competitor? Because with the race day foam, right, and that's my biggest confusion, with putting the race day foam in here, and yes, they are doing a different formulation of it that's firmer, and I can tell you guys, it feels firmer for standing. It feels like what we're standing on top of. This might even be firmer than the Triumph. Man, let me do the Durometer tester on the Triumph. What I was saying is, this shoe seems like it doesn't really know what it's going for. Is this a cushioned cruiser for recovery? I don't know. Oh, my Durometer is inside, so we'll get to that later, but just, yeah, feeling this foam here, and we do have 300 miles on this shoe. I know that. Maybe I'll have to get Charlie's pair, which doesn't have as many miles, but this foam just feels a little bit, look at this. We're not really getting much of that give, so we'll have to see out there, but I can tell you, standing on this, it is definitely on the firmer side, but more supportive, more structured. I know some people liked walking in the Triumph because the Triumph 20, because the foam was really nice bounce to it. It had a little bit of that soft feel, not too soft, not too firm, but the heel was very wobbly. This does not have any of that wobbly heel feel. It's probably not as comfortable on foot and step in as the Ghost Max, which is my favorite walking shoe, but feels a little bit more like a shoe that I would want on foot all day. And now with the upper fit, another thing I'm noticing is I don't feel like it's as tight on the side here as some other Saucony. We'll have to see, but this is a really comfortable upper. And they did go with the flat laces, which is nice, so they're not digging in. We get a nice and padded tongue. On step-in, though, it's not as comfortable as the 1080 just because the foam in here is really firm. And the 1080, if we had done the Durometer on that was the softest foam I've ever tested. It would come in at around 32. So a little bit softer than this guy, but decently comfortable step-in feel. Yeah. And for walking, not too bad. So let's go plan for the run. Look at this. Boom, on our lunch break. Get some beautiful scenery here. 8 miles. Nice aerobic or recovery pace. It is hot. It's probably about 80 degrees right now, so I'm actually shirtless. But yeah, it's hot out here, so I don't know what pace is going to come. This morning we're cruising at 7:30. We'll probably be somewhere between 7 and 8. I'm not trying to push the pace too hard. I do want to get a nice speed workout in later this week. Let me know if you have any suggestions for my speed shoe for later this week. But that is the game plan in the Triumph 22. Let's do it. All right, guys, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know what the temperature is. I think it said it was going to be a high of 76 earlier, but it feels a lot hotter with the humidity. So we got 8.21 miles, average 7:38 pace. Man, that hill crushed me, but Saucony Triumph 22. Hanging in there, buddy. This is a solid shoe. I'm not blown away. I'm not disappointed, but it's a daily trainer. And it's funny because we brought all these shoes out here, and I was talking about this morning, the bottom row of those premium daily trainers. The top are I don't even know what we want to call these shoes, the expensive shoes with tech in them. And then I left out the shoe that this is actually reminding me of the most. And for some of you, when I pull this out, you're going to think that's an insult to the Triumph 22. But others of you, you're going to be impressed. Or you're not going to be impressed, but you'll be happy. So that shoe is, drum roll please, Nike Vomero 17. Let's take this guy outside. Kobe. All right, guys, so some of you might know that the Vomero 17 is my favorite daily trainer of the past year. That's not to say it's the best. I don't believe that any one shoe is objectively the best, but the reason why it reminds me a lot of the Triumph 22 on this first run, and I try not to get too high, too low. I try not to be too hot takey on these first runs, but look at this. Nike Zoom X. That is the Nike racing foam. They also have a second foam in here, which is called Cushlon. It's more of a standard EVA, but $160, same price as the Triumph 22. They introduced the racing foam, but the way that this shoe feels is not like a Super Blast or a Skyward X. It feels more similar to, honestly, something like the New Balance Rebel V4 or the Saucony Ride 17, and that it's a simple ride, but it just executes it really well. And that's a little bit of what I'm getting from this Triumph 22 here. Nice and comfortable and stable. I honestly didn't feel too much of the weight, but comfortable, stable. The PWRRUN PB formulation in here, it's not, I don't think it's lawsuit worthy like the New Balance Fresh Foam is in this shoe versus the 880, where the 880 is just completely, feels like running on top of this. But it's definitely a different formulation than in the Endorphin Pro. And I don't think you could do 100% of the same formulation and have this have any modicum, SAT word. I don't think this would have any modicum of stability if you put the same exact foam as in the Pro 4. But you get some good stability, you get some width. The weight wasn't a huge issue, and it rides like a nice simple shoe, like the Vomero 17. The thing is, though, it seems like they really, I don't want to say overcorrected, but they swung the pendulum in the other direction. This is something I learned about politics, right? And this is not a political channel, but oftentimes in the democratic system, things swing one way and things swing the other way. And in the capitalist system, where we're voting with our dollars, might be a similar thing where you see one generation of a shoe swing one way and the other generation of a shoe swing the other way. And now, this is not, it seems like it's not a revolution of a shoe, and it seems like there's not too much of a difference, but we're swinging wide here. We're swinging wide, we're swinging comfortable, and this was still a comfortable padded shoe, but they just went way more in here, and I'm wondering if they really did listen to that consumer feedback and the people voted. It's not that the Triumph 20 and 21 were, they weren't a miss by any means, but I think Saucony just really wants to compete with a little bit more of a comfortable, stable shoe, because the 20 definitely was not that. They're going more in that Hoka direction. So with that, guys, I'm going to grab some water really quick, and let's do the full breakdown of the Triumph 22. All right, guys, got a little water, got a little OJ, but I wanted to show you something here. So this was one of my highly anticipated shoes. I don't know how I can even find this. After we went to the running event here, I made a bunch of these lists of all the shoes that I was excited about. And look at this. The best new max cushion shoes for 2024. I put the Triumph as the thumbnail. So I was hyped about this shoe. Absolutely hyped about it. And it just completely let me... No, I'm just kidding. It did not completely let me down, like I said. But let's go do this roundup, and I'll tell you how I really feel about it. Man, I was talking last week about the difference between passion and commitment. It's not passion that brings you out here at 80 degrees. And man, in June, July, it's going to be about 95 with the humidity. That's not passion, baby. That's commitment. Passion is like striking a match. You get a little flame, but commitment, that's chopping that wood every day, baby. Got to keep that fire going. All right, Triumph 22. Let's get it. All right, guys, 8 miles in the Saucony Triumph 22. We were straddling the line, like I predicted, between recovery and aerobic miles, and it's hot out here, but the effort was honest, and the standard is the standard. Like Mike Tomlin says, I want to cap at 6 miles, but I committed to 8 on camera, so we executed and we finished out the 8. And just as we were straddling the line between an aerobic run and a recovery run, this shoe is straddling the line between a daily trainer and a max cushion recovery shoe. It has some of those elements like the stack height, like a little bit of at least looking foam that's fluffy and puffy, but it rides more like a standard daily trainer. It has a little bit more of that pop. It has a little bit more of that energy return where when I pushed some pace down into the shoe, and I wasn't ripping, but I was getting something back, and I was not getting probably as much back as a PWRRUN PB from an Endorphin Pro 4, but it is a fun and peppy ride. And so that's why I compared it to the Nike Vomero 17. And of course, we're gonna have to get a ton more miles in this shoe, but I think the right way to think about this foam, the right way to think about the formulation of this foam and the shoe is not so much FF Turbo as you'd get in an Asics Super Blast, but more of that Zoom X that you might get in a Nike Vomero 17. So I'd put this a little bit closer to that daily trainer category. And I think, again, that premium daily trainer category, I don't like using the word premium because it can mean different things to different people, but this rides a little bit more like an elevated everyday running experience than one of those souped up shoes that you're going to take out for a ton of workouts and crush a bunch of pace. And also for 160, you're not getting everything that you get in a $200 running shoe. So diving a little bit deeper into the foam, because I know that is the key draw of this shoe. So it is a PEBA foam. It is a name, the same thing that we get in the Endorphin Speed series. And in here, you are getting that bounce and pop, but and this is the good thing, I'm not getting as much soft squish in the forefoot of this shoe as in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. And that's one of the main reasons why I didn't fall in love with the Endorphin Speed 4. And I did a 100-mile week in that shoe, and then I also let it rest, and I came back to it to do some comparisons with Boston 12 and I think SC Trainer V2 we did. And none of the times that I ran in that shoe, it really felt like it hit for me every time it felt like the foam just didn't have enough support for me. And so the way that they've tuned this foam a little bit differently, it feels much better for my style of running, where I'm not the lightest on my feet. And even as I was getting a little bit lighter on my feet, picking up the pace a little bit more here and there, changing the cadence up a little bit, this felt really at home across the variety of paces. So while the foam in here is a little bit different than the PWRRUN Plus in the 20 and 22, it's still sharing that versatility that made the Triumph 20 one of my favorite shoes to run in and got it up to 350 miles. So that was one of the things that I wanted to say that I was thinking about it there, and as I was getting my little OJ in there, and I don't know, is my face just completely salty? I feel like I lost all of my electrolytes right now, but as I was in there, I was thinking, they didn't mess up this shoe, even though it does look like a revolution with the weight going up, the additional foam or the additional cushion out here in the back, the caboose, the girth, the sole flare. They didn't do anything that completely alters and dramatically alters the ride of the shoe. If anything, all these changes that they've made, other than making it go up in weight, make it a little bit more of an accessible ride. So the main issue with the Triumph 20 was that the heel was really narrow and could be a bit wobbly, and then same thing with the fit of the midfoot. And so as I was saying, Saucony swung to the other direction. They made the upper roomier. I wasn't getting any of that rub on the outside here. We might actually have to compare this to the Rebel V4, because that's one of the widest neutral running shoes, and I think they might have even widened this up more than that shoe, or to be equivalent to that shoe. And then out here in the back, the platform is absolutely perfect and gives you a nice gentle roll. So again, it's not a super rockered shoe, but was a smooth ride. Not a super soft shoe, but was a nice cushion and protective ride. And the thing that's making me the most excited to get more miles on the shoe, it felt better at mile 8 than it did at mile 0, which is a great sign for a marathon training shoe. That's like the Asics Nova Blast, where it felt absolutely amazing anytime I took it past an hour. So this is a little bit softer than the Nova Blast, at least on the first run here, and I think more people will get along with this shoe than the Nova Blast. The Nova Blast had a little bit of a firmer feel, but like the Nova Blast, this seems like it's going to be a good shoe for a longer time on feet. So of course, I'm going to do the double run day test. I'm going to do the long run test with it. We'll get it up to 100 miles and see how it fares. But like the Triumph 20, I think this is going to be a shoe that responds really well as you put more miles on it. Now, another thing that we loved about the Triumph 20 was the outsole. So take a look here. We do get tons of rubber coverage on the bottom, and of course we have a completely bone dry day. Look at this. Did you see that? I don't even know what that was, but it's not raining, it's not slick, it's completely dry. So we didn't get to test the grip on here, but the rubber that Saucony's been putting on these shoes, XT900, it seems like it's improved across the past generations. The Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 was really solid, and I know they did that crosshatch pattern. So again, we'll have to test this on the wet weather, but with how thick this layer of rubber is, look at that. That's a thick, that's a thick layer. So I think we're gonna be all good in terms of getting this up to 200, 300 miles and having some durability. Now, look at this. I showed you this earlier. Offset, 10 millimeter offset. Can I take this out? Yes, we can take this out, which I know some of you love. 10 millimeter offset. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So 10 millimeter drop on this guy. Same thing as in, can I get this back in? Oh man. Pretty thick. Also, I don't know if anybody cares, but Ortho Light, if you care, and then the Saucony logo. I think I just ruined my shoe. Hey, pull up like I'm Devin Hester. All right, so the 10 millimeter drop here, right, means there's a difference in 10 millimeters between the front and the back. It does not ride as aggressively as the Triumph 20 in terms of that 10 millimeter drop. At least on this first run, I didn't feel like it was so harsh or so much more foam in the back than the front, and maybe they're measuring it at a different point, but it feels a little bit gentler. It almost rides like an 8 millimeter drop shoe. It doesn't feel like that Pegasus or that old Saucony Triumph, which just really puts you up on your toes here. However, one thing I do have to say is, it's not that this is bottoming out, but again, more supportive than the Speed 4 it felt like in this first run. But I do have to say, something with the way that this foam tapers out here, it feels like at certain paces, my foot was touching the ground. my toes here. So I'm not sure what that was, and it was really only at the beginning when I was walking and jogging to warm up. So we'll have to see how that evolves, but that is something to monitor. It felt like maybe I was getting a little bit too much ground feel up in the front here. And also, guys, I'm just noticing now, we got the blue and the orange, like the Ghost 16, and I was just shouting out Devin Hester. We might have to call this the Devin Hester. I'm not sure. It's not a super fast shoe. But yeah, other than the looks of this, and we didn't really even talk about the looks here. You got some waves. They're going for that old school, pull up like the Saucony grid. No, I don't know. It looks fine. I'm probably not going to be flexing with this too much, but I do think it'll be nice and comfortable for casual wear, and I will do the walking test in it. But upper fit itself, Prius. Upper fit itself, really comfortable with all the padding and the wider toe box. And in the back here, any sort of heel issue that you might have experienced in the 20 and maybe even the 21 will probably be resolved in this. I did not have to retie it. As soon as I put it on, it just felt normal. It felt good. The only little weird thing or different thing I was expecting when I put it on was how firm and structured this foam felt on step-in. So a little bit of a firmer step-in feel, but upper, very comfortable. The back is very comfortable, and I think a lot of people just look for a comfortable shoe. This is going to be a nice alternative for some people who are looking for either an everyday running shoe, an everyday casual shoe that's comfortable, similar to the Ghost Max, or a shoe that you can just lace up and do some simple miles in, like the Hoka Mach 6, but maybe is a little bit more durable. So the main question that I have with this shoe in terms of the fit in the market though right now is with the Nike Vomero 17, which I love, and how similar this feels on the first run. Of course, that can evolve. What is the value proposition of the shoe when you can find the Vomero for 95 bucks? So I don't know if I'm gonna be recommending this shoe a ton yet. We'll have to see. We're gonna put a ton more miles in it, but I'm not disappointed. I'm not blown away. It's a solid shoe. PWRRUN PB, nice and bouncy. Subaru gang. And of course, we're gonna have to get some more miles in it. So that's all I have for you today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video, and please let me know what you wanna see this compared to next. I will see you guys tomorrow. One more thing, guys, the weight. If you ever complained about the weight of the Hoka Skyward X, sit down. No, I'm just kidding. If you ever complained about the weight of a Skyward X, you are not allowed to buy the Triumph 22, man. Yeah, I don't want to hear any more complaints about the weight of the Skyward after this guy, man. You're getting less foam, no plate, probably a little bit less bouncier PEBA, less comfort, and it's the same weight. That is crazy, man. Triumph 22. And actually, one more thing. We're going to have to compare this to the Rebel V4 really quickly, because I do think it's a really wide shoe. All right, I have the Rebel here, and let's take a look. I mean, yeah, you can see on the top, these are both US men's 10.5. The uppers look really similar in terms of width. So I'm going to slip this guy on real quick. Nice and wide. I'm going to slip this guy on. Yeah, I mean, the Triumph is a very comfortable shoe. The upper just feels so soft. But the foam does not. And the Rebel is, the Rebel is a decently soft and flexible shoe, but underfoot, the Triumph just feels so much firmer and more structured. So, all right, there you have it. Decent width here in the Triumph 22. I'm impressed. I'll see you guys tomorrow. One last thing that I want to talk about. Fun versus comfort. And I'm going to come back to this in the next video I do on the shoe, but fun versus comfort and reliability, you have a broad continuum here. And if you think about a shoe like the Vomero, it's mostly reliability with a little bit of comfort. And I'm eager to see where this shoe fits in, but it's definitely reliability. Same thing as the Triumph 20. And when we're thinking about fun versus comfort, of course you got comfort from the padding, but I'm eager to see how fun this shoe really is. I'm not sure I quite got it on this first run. So that's what we're going to be thinking about. Reliability, comfort, fun. Is this a fun shoe? Man, Skyward X, SC Trainer V2 there. Those are two really fun shoes. That is a reliable and comfortable shoe in the 1080 V13. That is comfortable, but not fun and not reliable. And the Ghost Max is reliable and comfort. So let's see. Let's see what you have to offer in the stable. Let's go. Miles to go, baby. Shout out Robert Frost. All right, Charlie came in to bother me while I was editing, and she put both the Triumph 20 and 22 on. And she said the 20 is so much tighter. Unprompted.
It feels half a size bigger.
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, unprompted. She said the new one feels just half a size bigger. And then I was telling them how you had an issue with the 20 before, right? Where the middle felt too tight, the midfoot.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess you wouldn't tell because those are mine.
I can't tell because it's not.
But it feels longer and wider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And just the padding in the back is insane. Can you pass me the other one?
I guess they're both.
Can you pass me the other one in the back?
Oh, wow, that's crazy, dude. This one?
No, the 22. I just want to show them the...
You're going to add this section?
Yeah, why not?
So you're going to be up until like...
No, that's not true. I'm almost done.
Fun money, you guys.
I can... No, I just wanted to see... One thing I didn't show is how much padding is in the back here. Look at that. Bang. This is
Yeah,
one of
it's
the
super
most
cushy.
padded... This is probably the most padded shoe I have, and that's where all the weight is coming from. I'm almost done editing. I'd be done if you left. I'm just kidding. I'd rather be...
This is what he does.
I'd rather be...
He comes into my office.
When you come into my office.
Sad wife, sad life, man.
Oh, beautiful wife, beautiful life. Oh, free feet. Oops. Okay, that's not going in.